All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we've got some business to conduct here under other items between now and 7:30, and then we'll stop and do our two hearings, which I don't expect are gonna take too long, and then we'll finish up with whatever we didn't get to cover before. Okay, let's see. So, the first one we're going to discuss, because I see Steve is here, is 268 Washington Street. So, just to give you a little update on this, I think I forwarded the copy of the enforcement order. Somebody called DEP about some activity at 268 Washington Street, and I think Rosemary rode by, but then she was on vacation, and so Steffi and I picked up on it. And in the meantime, DEP called me a couple of times, so I had to call them back, and they wanted me to act right away, issue an enforcement order after a visit, and let them know. So I couldn't really put it off at all. And so we went and visited on Saturday. There's some activity right next to the stream is what I guess the complaint was about. So I asked Steve Capola to come tonight, and he's going to tell us what he was doing and what his plans are, why he was doing it. We have to decide if we want him to go forward with a notice of intent or to do notice of intent would be in order instead. So I'm going to turn things over to you, Steve, and you can tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Sure. Do I leave the mask on, or?
You could take it off.
Okay. So, my wife and I use the property as a farm. It's a cut flower farm. And, excuse me. It's been registered for, I think, the last 5 years as a farm for agricultural use. And anytime we've done anything in the past 5 years since we've owned the property, we've been quick to consult conservation. We put an addition on the house, we put a swimming pool up, there was a tree that had fallen into a holding pond, and we were quick to go ahead and call Mike and get approval for it. So, what I've been doing out there is, it's very visible from the street, but it's adjacent to my barn, piece of property that was kind of overgrown with a lot of, I'd call it debris from previous owners, stumps, dead trees, vines growing, that sort of thing. And to give you a little bit of background here, I suffer from chronic Lyme disease, so I recently made a push, really about a year ago, to just clean the property up. Any tall grass that was close to the house, I'm just trying to keep everything clean and mowed down so we don't have ticks. We obviously spray for them, but that's kind of what I've been doing, and that is really what I did on the side. So I had all the debris hauled away, the stumps and things like that, cleaned it up. With regards to the stream, I have a small tractor, so I got a truckload of boulders, and I lined the stream. I'd say probably 4 feet from the stream to prevent any runoff or, to interfere with the stream. And the stream, just so you know, is I don't know how you'd classify it, maybe an intermittent stream, but it's not a constantly flowing. It's when we have a heavy, heavy rain. I'd say right after the winter thaw, we get some activity. But, yeah, so really, I just want to clean that side area up. I get a lot of runoff from the street as well, because it's probably 7 feet lower than the grade of the street. And it's pitched where, you know, I get a lot of runoff, and it just, that area gets a little, you know, a little wet, I guess. So I lined it with the rocks. I brought in some gravel and sand, just to kind of flatten everything out. And then I was ready to go ahead and put some loam down and seed it, and that's basically what we wanted to do, just so I could mow it and keep it nice and clean.
How much gravel did you bring in?
I brought in gravel and sand, probably 4 truckloads. Yeah, it's quite a bit.
Okay, so here is plan from 5 years ago, and you can see the property, and the stream is intermittent. It's an intermittent stream. It's not on any maps, qualifies that way.
Mike, can you show me on this
Yeah,
map
where
where the work was done?
Yeah. Okay, it is, here's the house. Let's see, where's Washington Street comes in. So, house is here, and there's a garage further down here, and most of the work was done in this area. It doesn't really show, let's see, top bank, yeah, so the stream runs down this way, and so the work was done all along this part of the stream, the lower part, what's that?
Right.
I mean, it might be intermittent, but there was water in it. when we
Oh,
were
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's still, it's jurisdictional, even though it's just, the only difference would be it'd be a 200-foot resource area if it was perennial. So, Steve, you work right up to the edge of the stream, right?
No, I list 4 feet. where
Okay.
the rocks went.
Yeah, well, we would say that's working right up to
Okay.
the edge. And you also put in a new crossing, right?
Yes, I replaced an old bridge that was there.
Okay. All right, so there was an existing bridge there. And tell us about building that bridge. What did you do?
I put in a culvert, a 24-inch, Schedule 25 PVC, I think it was, 14 feet long.
But you didn't think that was jurisdictional to?
I really didn't. To be brutally honest, under the ag exemption, it was there, but, yeah, I didn't think to call anybody.
Anybody?
So are you considering this an improvement or a maintenance of an existing infrastructure, and you're not expanding the agricultural use? Or do you think by adding in, the pad by the brook and the crossover that you're expanding the agricultural use?
No, like I said, there was an older bridge there, so I'd call
And the area that you laid the gravel and the sand wasn't gonna be for agricultural use. You said you were gonna put a lawn in.
Right.
I didn't get the.
Was it just a wood bridge before?
Yeah, I think so.
And the boulders are in the stream. There are piles of dirt.
And 4 truckloads of gravel and sand is not exactly just a minor.
Right, it's completely.
I'll pass.
Okay. No, I think there's no question that, you know, he should have filed, that's for sure. Tom, that's the bridge right there. Okay, so we have to decide, you know, would we allow this if it went through the normal process? Or is this something that we just wouldn't allow?
I mean, if you're talking about replacing of a bridge, that's one thing I think I could definitely see allowing, but when you're talking 4 truckloads of gravel and sand that you're putting in there with the idea of generating a lawn, that doesn't seem like something that we would, in my opinion, allow. I mean,
I think wouldn't we get input on the bridge also to make sure that it followed guidelines and?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, imagine if he came in with a notice of intent and he said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut down, clear some of the brush out of this area. I'm gonna level it off with some gravel, and I'm going to replace that old wooden bridge with a new one with a culvert through it and put stone on the bank to prevent erosion. Would we say, you know, that's okay, or would we say, we might say, oh, obviously, we would put conditions on it, we wouldn't just say, go do it, right? We would definitely have to put conditions on it, but,
if he was taking away area that was already, you know, critical resource area, we'd want him to put some somewhere else, I would imagine, if he was.
well, but he isn't taking away any wetlands.
Okay,
Yeah. You know, it's all buffer zone because of the bank is an extremely steep, I mean, the bank is a steep bank on stream, it's clear.
okay.
But that would be the edge there.
I guess I would ask, how many trees did you cut down?
There were 2 good-sized trees that I cut down. One was, you know, choked out with a vine, but the other one wasn't. One was 45 feet from the stream, and the other one, I think, was 25.
I think we would treat this like any other crossing. We had one on Main Street several years ago, that, you know, they did the appropriate NOI filing and whatnot, and then we just had the one on Center Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This-
The horse.
Similar, I mean, I guess my point is, we've allowed this before, as long as the appropriate filing happens, and they build it to the certain standards.
Again, Tom, I'm with you on the crossing. I guess my concern is lawn for a lawn's sake. And I get the Lyme disease part of it. I just,
I agree,
the clear cutting to create lawn,
next to a stream.
so, I mean,
Well, you know, I would say that it's really can't be described as clear cutting more than just clearing the brush away. So if we were gonna ask him to restore that area, you know, basically you're letting it go back to just wild trees and shrubs growing there again. You know, so it isn't like he cut down 15 trees,
yeah,
that
that's why
kind
I
of
asked.
thing. There's, the rest of what was cut down were less than probably, 3 inches in diameter stuff, mostly brush. So,
My first inclination is that I would ask that something gets replaced with some kind of vegetation.
yeah,
Maybe it doesn't have to be just the stuff that grows, but maybe something that's, native and,
so our
Bushes.
biggest concern is the 25-foot buffer, right?
Right.
So what we could do is ask that, we can give specific directions to restore along the 25-foot buffer on either side of the stream, which would include some plantings. And then the rest of it would be fine, but again, we'd have him file a notice of intent with us rather than a big restoration project.
So that would be the conditions that we have put as part of the notice.
Yeah,
Is
right.
that with a
right.
25-foot buffer on either side of the stream, that we would do plantings that are consistent with that area, not with a lawn.
Right,
Okay.
right, right. Does that make sense, Steve?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, is the stream being classified as an intermittent stream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all we care about then, we don't care about, if it were perennial, there'd be other things to consider. But all we care about is you've got this wetland resource, and we want you to stay, you're in the 25-foot no disturb zone that you've gone into. So we would want that planted with some native plants or something,
Probably a
we'll
couple
decide that.
markers, just to remind any future people.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, usually we do, or there's a lot
Yeah,
other
I
than
mean, just-
25, so.
It sounds like this is just gonna be treated as a notice of intent after the intent has been.
Yeah.
Retroactive.
Yeah. So,
Is everybody happy with that?
Restore the 25-foot buffer, markers.
I mean, we're not really
Plantings.
deciding anything about that right now, but
Yeah.
that's, I think, the
That's,
path that we'd
The
probably go
plan of
down.
action.
Our main decision is that we would want him to file a notice of intent rather than, sorry, you can't do anything there, put it back the way it was.
I think, yeah, I mean, if you're replacing a bridge, I saw it yesterday, actually, my guess is, it's not like a regular car, like on Center Street. But
Oh, yeah,
we'd want him to do the same kind of thing if he came to us with an NOI and said, I want to replace this bridge, and then whatever the appropriate size culvert is. and whatnot.
right,
Maybe what he has in there is perfectly fine, I don't know.
yes. All right, so, just for time purposes, I'll make a motion that we ask Mr. Capola for a notice of intent, Groveland notice of intent, filing with us as soon as possible.
second.
Any questions on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, okay, that's unanimous. So we'll talk to you more about the process.
Do we ask to cover up the soil or the piles of things that are there now, or?
Yeah, well,
that's part of the actual notice, I would imagine, when we actually.
Well, that's.
if you can
when-
also
The next hearing's not for another month,
get those
so.
Yeah,
road,
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
okay?
sure.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
Sure. Okay, we're gonna try to do one more here before we go to our hearings, and, this one shouldn't take too long. We have a modification request for, 38 Benjamin Street, and I see that Bill Holt is connected, so, Let me put that up on the screen, and we'll share, actually, maybe you can do it, Bill.
Mike, I think Bill might be doing another meeting
Oh, he's,
right now.
Oh, okay,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Excuse me?
yes,
Mr. Chairman, I'm here representing Vincent Fiore for 104 King Street.
yes.
And you guys have asked us to come in, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but I too have a meeting later in the evening, so I'm just concerned, at what time might you address our discussion item?
Well, let's see. Hold on, let's see what else we've got. Do we have, I see John Tilton, you're here for 6th Governor, and is anybody here for 178 Main Street? No, okay, all right. So, we can, I think we'll do, open the hearing for 6th Governor, and we can get that done. And then, as I say, that should only take 15 minutes or 20 minutes at the most. And then we'll move on to, come back to
King.
104 King Street. Okay?
What time is your meeting?
Say that again?
What time is the meeting,
His meeting.
his meeting?
Whose? Oh,
At 8:30.
okay.
Oh,
All right,
we'll,
so-
we'll get you in.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Okay.
Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
All right, so I'm going to make a motion to open the hearing section of the meeting and open the hearing for 6 Governors Road.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so 6 Governors. This was a continuation from last month. And we did a site visit. Stephanie, Bill, and I were there, right? A couple weeks ago, and got a good idea of what the project is. So why don't you take over, John?
Mute. You're muted.
Unmute yourself. There.
Thank you. For the record, John Tilden, Williams Surprises Engineering. As Mike has said, the chairman, this is a continued public hearing for 6 Governors Road. I'll be quick, as I know you've seen the plan already, and we did a site walk. There's existing dwelling at 6 Governors Road, a single family, and the proposal is to add an addition on to make a duplex. And part of that duplex involves septic system, grading, a septic tank, and siltation control proposed on the outside, between the 50-foot buffer zone and related work related to the project. The plan we have here is a proposed 80 by 30-foot box. Since the meeting, I received plans from the architect. A bit different, they're a little more detailed, but they're actually smaller and they'll fit within this footprint. The one thing that's missing, they're proposing a deck off the back. I believe it's 10 by 12, but center of the deck, that's not shown. But besides that, the plan is staying the same. And the reason we're here is because part of the work, the grading in a small corner of the right back corner of the house is within the 100-foot buffer zone. But again, no work is proposed within 50 feet of the wetland. And the back left-hand corner, you can see the proposed septic system. So we had a site walk. I think we answered a lot of questions. It was a good chance to see it. And I think we answered questions that you had at the time. So that's it. It's a quick summary of what we talked about last time, and we talked about at the site walk. So I'm happy to answer any more questions or concerns at this time.
Is the deck within the 100-foot?
Say that again,
Is
Terry?
the proposed deck within the 100-foot buffer?
Is the deck with a foot buffer, John?
It's gonna be right centered, so yeah, the deck will be probably, it's gonna be left or to the right as you get up to the septic tank. So it would probably be within the buffer zone, correct?
Is either the house or the deck within 75 feet, or is it all between 75 and 100?
So the house, I'd say the corner house is, right corner is about, it's pretty close to 75 feet away. Probably like more like 80 feet away. The deck's probably about 75 feet away from the wetland. We have some grading down, farther down, elevation 98, so there is some grading down farther, but that's outside the 50-foot buffer.
John, did you make any progress on convincing the applicant to redo the other existing septic system?
Yeah, we talked about that, and I talked to the Board of Health, and actually, there's a restriction in Board of Health, you cannot have a shared system with a new construction, meaning we could not combine these two systems into one. So the addition will have its own septic, and the existing system will maintain its own septic system. If that were to fail, then they'd have to have their own system. It's considered one system DEP. We consult with them, but Groveland's bylaws require two systems for each unit.
Because it's not an addition, it's a duplex.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
We're not proposing a new system for the existing house.
It doesn't make sense to us, but I guess that's the bylaw. So, any other questions about, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I talked to our planning director, and they were a little confused about it. They thought that there was gonna be another whole duplex building built on the property. And, no, we said that you're just adding a second unit, so there still will only be 2 units. That's correct, right?
That's correct. And the building inspector, Sam Johnson, called me yesterday. He confirmed that it's existing house with one additional unit next door, making the whole thing just a duplex by itself.
Okay. All right, so is everybody happy with the plan there? The erosion control placement and everything, so we can reference that in our order?
So this septic system that's over here is for the existing one, and there's gonna be a second one?
No,
Oh,
that's, the new one, the old one's over here. so-
Okay.
Getting closer to the wetland.
Yeah,
gotcha.
but that's,
But it's already there, and you
It's
have to
already
have
there,
two separate ones.
been there
Okay,
for-
okay, now I got it. Does it, you guys are the ones who walked it, so
Yeah.
you tell me.
It's a tough yard because the border, the boundary comes way up into the yard. They're skirting it,
Mhm.
and it curves behind it, so, there's not a, the duplex being approved, there's not much they can do, and they're doing as much as they can to avoid it. Our question that Mike was talking about was, could you just have the one?
In the circumstances, they're not doing nothing within 50 feet? Is there grading within
Well,
50?
The grading it's pretty flat.
Yeah, okay,
Like, yeah.
so,
Just ask that they stop dumping the yard waste into that was just one of the conditions, right?
Yeah, we can add that in.
This plan looks good to you? Okay.
do we need any markers or anything, or is this a,
They would be right in the middle of their yard.
I don't think we could mark that.
Yeah, it'd be tough.
ball and put a
Really
ball
tough,
on it? You
yeah.
could,
Okay, somebody want to offer a motion?
You're so good at this, John.
No, you're the one who walked it. You're the one, you're gonna make it. You're very good at it.
I motion that we accept the plan with the, for 6 Governors Road with the, proposed duplex
As submitted,
as submitted.
That's
second.
fine. Okay, so it's moved and seconded that we accept the plan for the duplex and accompanying new septic. Any further questions or discussion? Yeah, Terry?
Well, having said that we accept the plan, do we want the deck shown at some point before we issue the orders?
It's not on there?
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, I don't
Oh.
think the deck is there, unless you have a copy of that plan with the deck.
Or can we stipulate that everything be out of 75 feet or beyond 75 feet?
Either that, or they can just send us the plan so that we can reference it.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna wanna have a copy of,
Of the final, yeah.
I wanna see the plan, and I was concerned with the dumping of the,
Yeah, well, we'll put that
That'll
on as a
be in there, yeah.
condition. So, John, can you get us a updated plan with the deck on it?
I will, I'll get to you tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. Just email it to
can't get it done
myself
tonight?
and Rosemary.
Okay.
thank you, John.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
We need to vote.
yes,
Yeah, any further discussion?
just making some notes here. Okay, any other further discussion? No? Seeing none, then I guess we'll take a vote. We'll do a roll call on this. Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Mike, yes. Okay, passes unanimous.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, so let me just check as well, we got our hearings open. You didn't see anybody come in outside?
It's unlocked.
That's how the
Unlocked
rest of the
still.
draft got in.
Us.
You think he's coming back?
Okay. I move that we adjourn, or we continue the discussion on 178 Main Street to the next meeting.
Second.
Unless he shows up.
We can reopen it at that point, but
Yeah, right.
for 178 Main Street.
Number 1 on the agenda.
Any discussion?
Is there a second on
I
that?
second it.
Okay, any discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, so we're back on to our agenda, and,
Do we close the hearing portion of the meetings? Because that's the only hearing portion, so.
yes, so, let's, we're gonna have to take,
No, don't
I'm
close
asking
it.
the question.
Don't-
I'm not suggesting that we do it.
No.
I'm just asking.
Close
I
it later.
don't think that's
Close
wise.
case 178 shows that.
yeah,
We can
right,
close it
Okay.
later.
okay, so we can continue
Continue,
that.
okay.
If we have to. Okay, so we're back with our other business. So we'll take up 104 King Street first, and then, once we're done with that, Bill Holt might be back. Thanks for hanging on, Dina. Okay, so 104 King Street, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie, who put our status report together, just to give us a summary of where we're at, what's going on with,
Well, I think that initially the report that was submitted to the DEP in February that we got a copy of, that expresses concern for filling of wetlands to divert water from a perennial stream, I'm just quoting here, and associated areas, which has contributed to the manipulation of wetlands. delineation and classifications to further the commercial interests of a planned subdivision. This report notes that there's been gradual filling of wetlands since 2014 pond that facilitated evaporation, and that this mentions that we were notified. Additionally, I think in the letter from our wetland scientist from June, who mentioned some areas that identify potential BVW and intermittent bank resource areas that appear to be subjected to significant alteration, generally associated with the construction of horse paddocks. For example, the intermittent stream which drains the portion of the C wetland area that falls on this particular lot near the property line, and that a sandy cart path, which is depicted in the site plan, is not labeled but coincides with the culvert. There's a stream that drains into an irrigation pond that appears to be altered. And so I wanted to address this together to decide, similar to one of our earlier discussions about this other property, what we should expect.
Okay, so I guess what we should first ask is were there, so we are contending that both through an abutting neighbor's complaint to DEP, our own site visit on May 23rd, and also the letter from a peer reviewer stating that work was done in an area. So were there any permits for that work done?
Are you talking to myself, Vincent Fiore, or my attorney?
Whoever you want,
Mr. Chairman, are you asking us whether permits were done for this work?
yes.
Well, quite honestly, sir, my client received a letter to appear before this board without any indication of why, what had been alleged, what had been viewed. I have been calling your office, calling the Conservation Commission since Monday. I have left messages every day asking to be informed of why we were being brought to this meeting, what was the contention of the board, and so that we could have at least prepared to provide the answers to the questions you're now asking. Quite frankly, this is all news to my client and to me, and I quite honestly couldn't hear fully the report of what was observed, but it appears that it was observed during a site visit on an adjacent parcel.
Yes, that's correct.
And a complaint by a neighbor.
Yes,
And-
to
and
DEP.
yet we've not been given the courtesy of seeing any of that documentation, so I don't know how I can respond to you, whether or not permits were pulled for work when we weren't even aware of what work has been identified as allegedly done either illegally or without permits or without notice to the commission. I would definitely ask that the reports from your peer reviewer, and we would be happy to answer all of your questions and provide the commission whatever information it wants. But quite frankly, we've been dragged in here and not given the courtesy of being told why until now, and you're asking me whether we had permits for work that I'm not even aware of what was identified as, having happened. In talking with my client, I do know that for the last 20 plus years, he has been maintaining his farm, his horse farm. As you all know, he is subject to certain agricultural exemptions, but again, I know he's not exempt from filing with the commission to do work. We're really at a loss here to address allegations are, and again, we did have some difficulty hearing that report that was just given.
Well, I think it makes
Well-
sense to, no?
So, the reason why we asked you to come tonight without blindly sending you a pile of documents was to just open the discussion. We did not expect that you would be able to come and that the applicant necessarily was going to, the owner was necessarily going to come with an attorney. And we just want to open the discussion, low level, low key. We'll be more than happy to send you copies of these documents and schedule you to continue the discussion with us at our next meeting. If that's fine, we'll do that.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, I would greatly appreciate that, and I quite frankly feel it'll put us in a better position to engage the commission and address any of your questions and concerns, and to rectify any issues that need to be rectified. But it's kind of tough right now to be answering questions up front.
Okay,
So we'll need some
Yeah.
contact information.
yep.
I would be happy, first thing in the morning, I will both call to provide that information, and I will also send it via email right away.
Okay, so, don't call, just send email. Our agent is only in the office 2 days a week and has been out on vacation. So tomorrow is her first day back. I don't think she'll be in early in the morning, so better off sending us email, and then we'll get that to you.
All right, and then we will be happy to come back and address any commission's questions that they have.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
You?
Okay, so we're ready to move on then to 38 Benjamin Street.
Thank you as well, sorry.
Yep,
Myself, I'm sorry, thank you, Mike. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
No problem.
I'm a little
Good night.
challenged here.
sorry.
Thank you, okay.
Okay, so 38 Benjamin, let me see if I can bring that up.
These are on, right?
I believe
Yeah.
so. Yeah. No,
I
it
don't know
was,
Maybe the
sitting
mask?
right here was hard to hear everything you were saying.
Oh,
And
okay, thank you.
no, it's not just that. I've been on the other end, coming in remotely, and it depends on how good your
My projection?
wireless is, how good your,
Gotcha.
But I think Mike is correct. This is just more of our bringing it to their attention, that it's been brought to our attention, and then we're
Right.
just asking questions.
Right,
So
right.
this is not a deciding
Yep,
any
yep.
matter, and that's all we're
Exactly.
doing at this point. And
Correct.
you're right, we're much more muffled here as a thing, so we can't do that. But I think we have the information from the wetland scientists that we can provide them.
right,
and
and
look at it
clearly
from
he
there.
can't respond if he doesn't know.
No, I wouldn't expect them to either,
Right.
but,
And even if you had them right in front of him and had an hour to
Yeah.
review them,
correct.
that's not enough time. Well, hopefully, if we get them this information
This
this
is-
week,
Yeah,
and they have
You
a
want me to
month
share it,
to,
Mike?
to review,
Yeah,
then
sure.
yeah, this isn't a shot across the bow. This is just it's come to our attention.
it's more like
and we'd
an
like to
ahoy.
address it, yes. No, it's, can't think of how else we would bring it to their attention that it's been called to ours.
Correct.
Yeah. And if he was calling on Monday, I'm sorry, that's Labor Day.
And this is Wednesday, so
And this
we're
is
talking-
Wednesday, yeah. Yeah.
Mike, why weren't you in the office on Monday when it was
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm stuck.
it's a lovely scene.
Yeah, it looks like it's definitely in our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now,
I
for
didn't know we
some
had what-
reason, when you,
Do we have oceans in Groveland? What
We
tide?
have brackish water.
Johnson's Pond.
I wouldn't drink
That's
it,
true.
but,
Is it brown? I see a lot of discussion about brown. I'm just sorry.
Yeah, my water was.
Groveland known for brackish water, or we?
well, the tide comes all the way up to.
That's true,
Haver.
yeah.
It's not real salty, but it's,
I know
I'm
there's-
told.
There's carpet there.
There it
after
is.
that.
There's sturgeon.
Is it really?
There's sturgeon. The reason they can only work on the railroad bridge occasionally is because it's a sturgeon breeding
I
area.
didn't know they went into brackish water.
Okay.
Well,
so
it's not
let's
real
see.
brackish by then.
Okay,
Semi-brackish.
Okay.
Share your
Semi-brackish.
screen.
Brackish is
late,
semi
late
by
salt.
definition.
God.
Semi.
Let's see.
Okay, we're looking to see if Bill's there.
No, I'm trying to let Tom share his
Right.
screen.
Trying to give me permission.
If you click on the share screen, it doesn't let you.
No, but that's
Yeah,
just
it
me.
says the host, won't let me do it.
It's
No,
got
but
a
I mean,
permit.
on the host, if you,
Screen share.
Make host?
No, I don't want to make him host, because then I lose control.
You don't trust him?
I
No, he
move that
should-
we make
I know.
Tom the commission, the chair.
Tom should be able to make a request, and then you should just be able to say yes.
Yeah,
So when I click on it, it just comes up with host disabled participant screen sharing.
maybe if you ask nicely.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm looking on the, it doesn't give me a,
I did this the last time.
Maybe he needs a conservation commission hat.
Yeah, right. Well, I can share my screen anyway.
All right,
Let's see.
there we go.
Is that Space Force?
God, let's not go
Okay,
there.
let's see.
Don't forget to collect your swag on the way out.
Is there
Yeah.
swag?
Yeah,
There
you
is.
got hats and vests.
No, get out of town.
Yep. We'll see if you're a size medium.
I am not.
All right.
They have every size as long as it's medium.
there you go. It's
I'll take
Okay.
two then.
Yep,
I
okay,
have
good.
this, I think.
That over
Is that
there.
this one?
Okay,
Oh.
and so,
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's the one I have.
So a quick question, Mike, is
Yes.
this a change to what they previously came to us with, asking for a change? Is this another change, or is this just a
well,
clarification of something?
let's see if, let me just show you the area, and then we'll see if Bill Holt is on, or Dina can explain. So, here is 38 Benjamin. This was our last plot on Benjamin Street that we approved a couple months ago. The 100-foot buffer is this dotted line. There is this dotted line, and then the erosion controls are this other dashed line. So, here's the area that we're talking about. It's a kind of a temporary road, haul road, that connects the lots off of 733 Salem Street with the 38 Benjamin Street work. And so what they did was they crossed through here, and when they did that, you see, they went into the 100-foot buffer on both 34 and 38 Benjamin. But we have, I figured we'd address it under 38 since they have an open order conditions there. There was no required,
Jurisdiction?
No, it looks like it's inside.
well, there's that corner, but
Okay.
they weren't doing any work there, so they didn't have to
Okay.
file with us.
Gotcha.
So, either Dina or Bill Holt, do you want to tell us why this road was put in place? Hi, Dina.
We're gonna need more volume.
Trying to talk louder. It wasn't a road that we put in, what it was an access for the log cutter to be able to get over to 38 Benjamin Street, because it wasn't feasible to reload the machine and bring it all the way around to get over to 38 Benjamin Street to cut down the trees. So we used that, the machine went from Oakland to Benjamin for 2 days solely to clear the trees at Benjamin Street. This access way has not been used since. It's actually growing back in. And Steve tried very hard to not go into the 100 buffer. He really didn't think he did, actually. But he got permission from the owner of 34 Benjamin Street to cross the back corner of his property to stay out of the buffer zone intentionally. And so again, since the tree clearing, this area has not been utilized and will not be utilized again.
Okay, yeah, so I don't have that picture available of the big truck, but as commissioners know, if you've ever driven up Pond Street, it's a pretty narrow, hilly road to get a big logging truck up there. So I think that was the motivation for doing it. And unfortunately, they just violated, one of our standard lines on the order is no haul roads or this type of thing without our permission. So probably if they came to us and asked permission, we would have granted it. So I just wanted to bring this forward as a small modification under the order. We'll correct it with a letter attaching to the permit, and then when we do an order of conditions, we'll just go and check it and make sure that it's all back to growing in and back to normal again.
So we're just gonna do a nunc pro tunc as to what the original order was, to allow them to
Yeah,
have a temporary road in there for purposes of removing trees, and then right
Right.
after that, it goes back. Okay.
right, right.
There's no special file fee or anything that
No.
goes along with
It's
that?
it's a modification,
Okay.
All right. Is this something we do by motion?
Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, no, they have proposed replacement of trees, so I'm assuming they've decided that one tree is all that was taken down within 100 feet, or that's the best estimate, or do we have any, having not been there, is that a reasonable assumption, or?
There was just that one tree that was taken down.
Given where the tree is located, I think it's fairly safe to assume they're not planning on using the road again.
No, right. And plus, there's a lot of trees in there, so
Yeah.
it isn't like,
Right.
oh, that tree is bad.
Yeah, my question was, I don't necessarily doubt that, I'm just thinking they didn't think they were in 100 feet, so I doubt they worried about what trees down. So on the plan, they're suggesting replacing one, I just wanna make sure, do we agree with that? Or do we have, any other reason to think that it should be more than one?
Oh.
And
No.
I've never been on the property, so I don't really have a feel for it.
No, it's pretty wooded back there.
If you weren't there, you would see the one tree stump that's there. I mean, you can see that it's the one tree. Bill Holdart this, and he shows where the one tree was taken down.
So you guys just, you took the brush out in the tree and you just drove in as opposed to actually digging down and creating a road, so there's still history of what was there, sounds like.
Yeah,
I said it sounds like, because you didn't actually build a road, it sounds like you just cut the trees, and so Bill Holt was able to see the old stump and determine that it was just the one tree.
Yeah, it was
That's what I'm hearing.
not ever intended to be any type of a construction road. It was really just an area that was pretty clear, aside from that one tree. So, Steve and asked the owner of 34 if he could just cross the back corner of his property, and he also asked him, told him that he would have to remove that one tree.
Right.
That was
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
somebody want to make a motion?
I move that we allow the modification to the permit for lot 68,
38
38
Benjamin.
38 Benjamin I thought it was doing it by lot number, to allow the construction and removal of a temporary road that brushes into the 100-foot buffer zone to be removed, or to be subsequently removed, and a tree planted as per the plan submitted by William Holt, dated whatever the date of this plan is.
Second.
Is that fair?
Any further discussion on this? Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, so we'll get a letter off to you, Dina.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention, and thank you for coming in front of us.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's see.
He was the one who drafted the plan. I think he submitted the plan showing where the tree was. That's all I was saying.
Engineer, I think.
Yeah.
It's dated August 31st.
Yeah, I can't see it. My eyes aren't that good.
I use the Zoom function, so.
Oh. My body didn't come with that, so.
Okay,
But the computer does. Adobe lets you zoom in.
let me just check to make sure that our friend from 178 is in here. So, he's not here, but let me show you this, because I want us to be aware of what it is he was asking.
Should we officially open the meeting to be able to look at stuff?
Well, we,
Continue it?
We just
We
continued
opened
it.
the hearings, right, and we didn't close it.
we're just gonna, we didn't open the,
Oh, it's not, oh, wait, no, it is a hearing.
We continued it.
Yeah, we didn't close
I
the,
think we probably ought to let
Section.
sleeping dogs lie and deal with it next month.
You want to close the hearing portion of it, and then we can discuss it as, not as part of the hearing motion, but just preparing ourselves for what we're going to discuss next month?
yeah, I just,
You want us to vote on it now?
Motion to
No,
close,
no.
motion to close the hearing.
okay,
Yeah, no, I think that's what you need to do.
so it's,
That's what I
is there
just
a
did.
second on that?
I'll second it, yeah.
All right, so it's moved and seconded that we close the hearing portion of the meeting at 8:04 PM. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so,
On to the informal
yeah,
discussion.
so let me share my screen just to show you the picture of it. Hold on a second. So, this is 178 Main Street, which is not too much further down on Main Street. This is the pizza parlor
Oh,
there,
Okay, yeah.
and so they're right next door. So,
that's not the brain trauma place, is it?
This isn't the place on Marjorie.
no,
Okay.
no, this is right on Main Street. It's just a rectangular lot.
Like across from a cemetery almost.
Right, exactly.
But the brain trauma place is on the other side?
Yeah,
would be
that's,
to the
Okay,
left.
okay,
that's to the left.
okay.
So, here is the property, here is his yard. There's a stream that goes from Broad Street and Seventh Star Road, and it runs all the way down to the river through the square. But much of it has been put in a culvert underneath, but parts of it are not in a culvert. So, in this case, you can see the stream clearly is exposed in yard, and it doesn't run through a culvert. Even though it's not noted on any DEP wetland map, you know, we have assumed that the stream itself is some kind of intermittent stream with steep banks, and so, just like the one we were talking about before on Washington Street, it would be afforded at least a 100-foot buffer on either side of it. So, 100 feet would, so now they changed to build a duplex there. Just issue a decision on it that we tell him he's got to file a notice of intent.
So did he indicate at all in the RDA what,
Doing?
why he wanted to understand whether we decided it was jurisdictional or not? I mean, you know, and I don't know if it's done commercially, but if he's thinking of doing a commercial thing, it would like, you know, this is
No.
now.
No, it's an existing residence, Tom, and,
Right, what I'm getting at is if we, you know, if he wanted to put a pool in or a deck, that's one thing.
Yeah, what's
Or
the,
if he wants to,
the ask?
you know, I mean, I don't know, it's all, that would probably guide us on how we would proceed.
yeah, he doesn't put any, oh, here it is. Would like to bring in dirt level and re-slope property. There are pockets where water collects and pools.
My recollection, wasn't this all sort of dug up with money right after the Mother's Day flood in like 20 years ago? Didn't the Highway Commission get a whole bunch of money for drainage, and they went through and they sort of dug out, you know, there was sort of, it was mushy wetlands and stuff there before, but there wasn't clear flow. And so they went in and basically dredged along the whole area, put the culverts in, so there wouldn't be as much flooding.
Right.
So, you know, it's clearly within our jurisdiction,
Yep.
and it's clearly, you know, 20 years down the line, or how long ago was that? I
Oh,
think
it was a
way too
while
long.
ago.
It's close to 20, right?
At least, if not longer than
Well,
that.
not much more.
Say longer than that.
Not much more.
25.
Nope, less than
No, no,
25.
no, less than 25.
I can guarantee you, less than 25.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, stuff settles, and I think it's not unreasonable for that to be considered, you know, some sort of maintenance project. And if the homeowner is willing to take it on himself, then that's you know, under our direction. I think there's nothing wrong with that, because stuff's going to settle. They had backhoes back there, and and loosen things up, and then over the years, you know, as things get wet and dry out, it's going to form these pockets. So I'd say take a look, and, you know, erosion control, and you know, don't, you know, get too close to the stream,
Right, that,
and you know, we're glad that he's come to us.
So then what's the buffer zone?
well, it's in front of his house.
But
Well,
I mean,
The
if
fa-
we're
the fact,
allowing
the
him
fact
to-
of the matter is, there were backhoes in there sloshing away, you know, 20 years ago, so.
that was like an emergency intervention for flooding?
Yeah, it was more like a long-term flood prevention program
Right.
In a
Right.
wetland.
in a
Yeah,
wetland,
well,
yeah.
It was putting a stream into culverts. You know, that's what they do in urban areas, you know, they bury these streams. What were you gonna say, Tom?
Well, two things. One, just out of curiosity, I'm curious if anybody knows where it actually goes into the culvert, because I thought it was around the Congregational Church.
Yeah, it's right around there, yep.
Okay, maybe on the other side.
It goes it goes underneath Perry Park and comes out a little bit beyond, and then cuts across Main Street over,
It goes-
almost,
behind the post office is where it comes out.
But towards us, right? It's
Uh,
between the last house by the post office and, yeah.
So my only concern, I agree with what you're saying, Terry, and if I, driving by on the road, I've never been in the backyard, it seems relatively flat. I think there's a difference of, adding 6 inches of soil that you're gonna sort of level to fill in the low spots and that kind of stuff, as opposed to, if it slopes down 3 or 4 feet and then putting in that amount of soil, I think that would be a different thing in my mind. Personally, I think we'd have to take a look.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I agree with that. I mean, in my mind, I'm picturing like 5 yards of topsoil to kind of smooth things out a little bit, not 15 dump trucks full to build a soccer field.
Yeah, I kind of think of it as superficial,
Yeah,
just you're
yeah.
not changing the.
We want to be clear, because we've had other people come in and say, oh, I'm just,
Yeah.
cleaning
Right.
this up, and then 2 days later, there's, a couple of backhoes and all sorts of stuff going on.
Any sentence with "just" in it is usually suspect, especially if it's 2 siblings. I was just patting them on the head.
So, as I mentioned before, this was an RDA. So, I think what we should do is open the hearing and just throw out our comments and put a decision out there that we want him to file a notice of intent with us. Because clearly, it's work within the 100-foot. We don't know, it could be even up to 25 feet
Right.
away.
Yep.
And so, seeing that, then he would definitely have to file a notice of intent.
I think, Mike, though, in my mind, if he's calling up somebody, like Terry was saying, and dropping off 5 yards of dirt, I just spread 10 yards of mulch in my yard. I mean, he could spread that with a bunch of wheelbarrows, and I don't necessarily think that's, cause for an NOI.
But we don't know
Oh, but
exactly.
If it's too much
Oh,
full,
but
that's a different thing.
the notice of intent, we can
Well,
do
but
what it is.
Right.
you see that we just ran into that with 268 Washington.
Right.
Yeah, but because I haven't been driving into the office every day, but I came by there yesterday, and I was like, wow, that, like, you could tell the trees are taken. I mean, that was dramatic, but, I get it. I did look at it, if I was a homeowner and I was gonna put down a couple of yards, and I had to file all this stuff and pay all these fees, I'd be a little bit miffed, because the reality is, if somebody came by and dropped off a pickup truck full of dirt in the guy's driveway, we would never be the wiser.
Well, we wouldn't, but that doesn't mean that it's permittable.
Okay, so what you want to do
I get it,
is,
but
what you want to do
because
is,
we don't know the scope, that's,
Yeah, well.
Correct.
well, that's,
Exactly.
yeah, so that's why, okay.
We're talking
so-
about a
so-
shovel of dirt.
So it sounds like we want to tell the
Homeowner.
homeowner that a notice of intent is going to need probably a Groveland notice of intent, or you think a notice of intent?
I don't know, because again, I don't know how
The scope of
close
what
he
he's doing.
wants to do the work.
Well, I guess we lay it out for him and say if it's,
Yeah.
if you're doing this much, it's going
Right,
to.
in our letter, we can say that. If you're
Yep.
gonna be more than 50 feet away from the bank of the stream, you can file a Groveland notice of intent. If you're gonna be closer than that, you gotta file, which is basically the same thing we tell him if he was
Sure,
sitting here.
sure.
Right.
And yeah, that way I don't feel, we're not really having a hearing without him getting representation, because we're not, really doing anything except saying, yes, your
Right.
request for determination it's in our jurisdiction.
Right.
So that's not unfair. I would feel bad if there was something, if we were having a ruling that he wasn't here to
No.
represent himself, but,
No, I wouldn't do this for a notice of intent.
yeah, okay.
But for an RDA, basically an RDA is you're asking us a question and you want the answer to it about advice on what you should do. Can I do this or not? Yeah, you could do it if you file a permit. Now go file the permit.
Motion to reopen the GRDA hearing for 178 Main Street.
At 8:17.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
all right,
Okay, so So, as we just discussed, the applicant wants to bring some fill into his backyard. We believe that it's potentially within 25 feet or greater, between 25 and 75 feet to an existing stream, and we would ask him to file a notice of intent, Groveland notice of intent, or a Groveland notice of intent only if it's 50 feet or further away in a response letter. And this was a GRDA, RDA, so it will go to DEP too.
We're giving him a positive determination. And
Yes.
the question of whether it's gonna be an RDA or a GRDA is dependent upon whether he determines his work is going to be greater or less than 50 feet from the resource area.
Yeah. And he could always come in and have Rosemary go look at it with him to give him a little more
Great.
advice.
Is that a motion?
The GNOI or an NOI?
Yeah, G and I are,
Did you make a motion?
no, I didn't, somebody else can. You can do it, John, you just said it pretty much.
I move that we make a positive determination on the,
RDA.
on the RDA, GRDA for 178 Main Street. Is that the right one?
Yep.
Yes. And this request that the app, or the homeowner present either a RDA or a GRDA dependent upon the scope of the work to be conducted at the site with a GRDA.
No.
No, it's
No.
an NOI.
Notice of intent.
Notice of intent, yes. Okay. I lost my own train of thought.
I know, no, well,
You're doing so well.
yeah, that was good.
All right, so everybody understand?
Yeah, no, I
The
do.
motion.
Positive on the
Is there a
RDA.
second on
I
that?
second it.
Okay. So is it moved and seconded? Any further discussion on it? This is, just make a note that this is the third meeting that we tried to talk about this. That's why I really
Move it
want to
forward.
close it out, especially because it's basically just an answer, yes or no.
If it's a simple, piece of work that he's doing, whatever, is there gonna be a time of year restriction for him? If October,
Yeah, if it's within the 100-foot,
November 1st.
he would have a
okay,
season, so,
And we
chances
can
are he
always
wouldn't be doing it.
discuss a waiver, and
okay.
if it's a
Okay.
small job, it should take a day.
If it-
Well, yeah, right.
Okay,
So, all right, well, let's let him determine that,
Okay.
or her.
Oh,
Is there a
my.
motion?
Yeah, okay.
I fumbled through a motion.
We're
Is there-
ready to
All in
vote.
favor?
So we'll do a roll call again. Tom,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Stephanie,
aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Mike, yes, unanimous. Okay,
Move to close the hearing portion of the meeting.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good, good. All right, so,
Conservation agent.
conservation
Where is
agent
she?
update.
She's up
Can we
there.
call her?
Vacation.
She's up there, isn't she? I just don't, she's not there.
Okay, well, for now.
I'm just having fun.
She's not muted. Okay, how about the
Minutes.
minutes for July and August? So, the July minutes, we didn't get to that last time because it was late, but those have been edited, submitted and edited. I think they're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Bill, you had changes, I think?
No, August.
Is there a motion on the July minutes?
I make a motion that we accept the July 2020 minutes as emailed out earlier today.
Second.
Second, okay. Any further
No,
discussion?
you weren't there.
I can still second it.
You can second
I'm going to
it, okay.
abstain, but I can still second the motion.
Keep it moving
Okay.
it
We
along.
all know how this is going.
I know, keep it moving along, I get it.
Okay, All in favor of the July 2020 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay, 2 abstentions and 3 yays.
Bill and me.
We
The
weren't.
two Williams.
Okay, next we've got the August minutes. Did anyone get to look at those?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Move
And-
to accept the August minutes as presented. I didn't see anything needed changed.
Okay,
There was a couple of, looked like spell check.
Move to
verbiage.
accept the August minutes with the
spell
typo corrections that have been presented.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded on the August 2020. Any further discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Abstain.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Tom and John
John.
are abstaining. 3-0.
Marvelous.
Okay, so, open discussion, a couple of things. So our next meeting is October 14th, which is the second Wednesday of the month. So we'll do the same thing unless they open town hall and we can have everybody come in, then we won't do Zoom. But I'm assuming that it's gonna be the same. And, let's see, couple of more things on enforcement. So, Stephanie's been doing a good job on enforcement. She started working with Rosemary, and then Rosemary was out, so she and I worked on it. So we've got currently 3 enforcement issues out there. You heard about 2 tonight, the 104 King Street and the 268 Washington Street. The third one is 6 King Street. It's the rear of the Congregational Church. We heard from an abutter whose name will remain anonymous, that there was some dumping going on, and coincidentally, it backs up to that same stream we were talking about coming behind 178 Main Street. So that stream goes underground a little further back into a culvert, but the property next to the parking lot is definitely wetland. It's got all the, Stephanie, tell everybody what we saw.
What we saw? Well, we saw plant refuse and things that people have been dumping for a long time. Apparently, this is a chronic issue with this property, that lawn cuttings and things have been dumped there, but also in one corner of the parking lot, it appears that there was some fill that had been there. Apparently some sand and things had been seen there as well, so there's concern for more than just clippings being dumped into the wetland there. So we did ask them to cease and desist the dumping of anything into the wetland.
Yeah.
And then we did ask if they could come to appear before us at the next meeting so they can tell us what the situation is, because I guess there's a concern for the parking lot being
Okay, so, this just brings up to me, here, at that discussion with 104 King, you see where we didn't send them anything, we just sent them a letter asking them to come and talk to us, which, that's perfectly valid, that's just opening the discussion. because we don't feel that this is an emergency situation that must be dealt with right away, like the Washington Street one is. That one, you know, when DEP calls us, we gotta do something. Whereas 104 King, that's been going on for 20 years maybe, so it isn't something that's gonna change in the next few weeks. So I felt like just asking them to come to the meeting and open the discussion, and we'll tell them what our concerns are,
Right.
and then they can come back with an answer. That's fine, but, you know, when you get a lawyer involved, they don't want that. They want all the documentation, everything, so they can respond. So I don't know what you think about this one, whether or not we should send some more information, or should we just send a letter asking them to come? You know, I can send a copy of our site visit in, you know, I think I took a picture or two, but what we,
I think, wasn't in a letter or something you sent, did you send them a cease and desist, or that was 278 Washington?
Yep. The only one that got an actual enforcement order was 268 Washington.
So we haven't said anything to the church?
I wrote the letter, I guess we haven't mailed it yet.
Yeah, no, we haven't. I was gonna have Rosemary do it tomorrow.
Yeah, so who did you addressed it to?
I addressed it to, there's a
pastor?
minister of worship listed on the
Yeah.
website. It took a lot of digging to find somebody, because I guess the
He's gone, I
pastor
think,
is
isn't he?
no longer there.
Yeah, no,
And they're
they-
still looking for a settled
Yeah,
pastor.
they're in a pastor search. I would suggest that I come up with the name of the Buildings and Grounds person for that church.
Well,
And that's the person we should send it to.
when we were
because-
there, it volunteers from the parishioners who come and do the work.
But there is a Buildings and Grounds
Oh, okay.
person, so I'll get that.
But I don't think they would have authority to speak on behalf of the church, would they?
Yeah, they would. Oh, it's a congregation.
Sort of their job, right?
Yeah, they're a congregation, they're,
Couldn't we also, I think we should send an official letter, and then also, I gotta believe Town Hall has some, like, official person they contact regarding taxes or whatever that, you know, maybe a groundskeeper also, but we should
Taxes.
maybe cover ourselves and make sure it goes to whoever owns it, technically. I don't know how that works, but.
right, Tom, the murmur here is no taxes. They're
Yeah, right, no taxes.
They're a
It's a church, Tom.
Yeah, okay, but there's gotta be, I mean, you know, I gotta believe, like, if there's an issue there, I gotta believe the police have somebody that they call. I mean,
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I would say it's probably the Buildings and Grounds person. I will get that name.
You belong to that church?
No, but I know people that do.
Okay.
So we can
Ask you for a
always,
friend.
we can always send it to both of them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the question I have is, were we uncomfortable with the 104 King Street? You know, the guy's kind of accusing us of not doing our homework or something.
I get accused of things all the time at work, and I am a lawyer, so I mean, it's like, I could care less. No,
Yeah.
I think it's fine. It's like you've done the right job if you brought them, it's brought to our notice and our attention, and we're asking you that we need to get a response at some point. We're not asking you to do it today, but
Right.
that's the same thing here. I
And-
think it's a concern, a neighbor's brought it up, we're responding.
And it shows a certain seriousness about what's going on. If we just send them a letter, it's just a piece of, oh, yeah, okay, well, you know, there's no consequences unless you say, we need to talk to you, this.
Yes,
And if it's
Yes.
a continuing violation for years, then A, it needs to stop, and B,
Exactly.
it's not going to unless we actually address it.
right.
Well, I think in both cases, it would probably behoove us to go see if there has been any permits granted or anything for one of these properties. I think I would have remembered the church. I may not have remembered 104 over the years, but
I don't remember anything from 104, because I would have recused myself, and I've been around since 2004, so,
Yeah,
okay, so we're going back a ways, and
yeah.
in searching, I didn't find anything in our records, but, you know, that doesn't mean that there was no permits. I don't know about building permits, I don't know about other things, but I don't think that there were any conservation permits. But, so on these three things, you see, we've got like three different levels, you know.
Yep.
The first one was, hey, DEP's calling us, we better get on the ball with this. And I had to go, what I did was, I went and talked to them, and then I came back with the order. I didn't just send them the order. I actually talked to them before I sent them the order. With these folks, you know, we've got all kinds of documentation, evidence. I'm more than happy to share it, but I thought that them just coming and just giving a little summary of what we're thinking about, because it's a longer term thing that we're talking about here. With the church, you know, it's a probably lower level thing, you know, they're dumping stuff in
Grass
the
clippings,
wetlands.
yeah.
You know, we don't want to,
We saw that place on Center Street, I forget the address, we were actually looking at a different house, and right next to it, they were dumping all their leaves. They have a
Yep.
commercial landscaping business, but
yep,
Oh, yeah, I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that
it was
place.
like, please stop doing this.
right,
Yeah.
It wasn't a big deal, you know.
And that,
Right.
wasn't that also on Salem Street, that someone was dumping across the street and down into the area?
yep, yep,
Oh, right, yeah, we went through this.
yep.
Maybe in the letter, I think we should send it, and then in the letter, maybe just say something like, you know, an informal discussion.
Okay.
just to understand, so that we can explain, you know, our concerns and open up dialogue and something, you know, very.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think this is gonna require them to file a permit. I don't think we're gonna do much else and pretty
tell 'em
much
to stop it.
stop it,
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Don't do any more. But to just say that in a letter is probably not that effective,
okay.
you know? Especially with the church, because you might have multiple people, and if it's not brought up, that,
Right.
oh, we had to go to the Conservation Commission about this.
'Cause they
rather than
probably
just-
have, you know, when you talk about the landscaping, it's either, you know, a congregation member, or they'll get the Boy Scouts that they sponsor to do it, or.
Right.
And so and somebody just says, oh yeah, just dump it back there. But, you know, maybe it's an opportunity for them to compost or something
Yeah.
like that.
Well, you
And-
know, that, we were talking to the volunteer and, you know, said, gee, you know, you could bring it all to the town compost facility, so you can't even use that excuse that I have nowhere else to dump it, you know?
I think that's just a matter of them not knowing and somebody just,
I think they're taking the path of least resistance.
Yes, right.
You can either take several dump truck loads, or not dump, pickup truck loads over to the compost place and turn it into 4 hours of work.
You have it put together, don't you already have the letter?
Yeah, the letter's written, just we can modify it.
Yeah, we'll you know, I'll have Rosemary,
And Bill's got an address.
put it together
or-
and just
That'd
add
be
a
great.
couple
Contact.
other lines to it about an informal
Okay.
discussion, so they don't get, and, you know, maybe I'll just throw my site visit report in there too, so they've got
Yeah.
a idea of what we're talking about.
Okay,
Wow.
But, so that's our enforcement stuff. But, you know, enforcement is time-consuming and also fraught with missteps and, you
Danger.
know, I don't
well, we are
like
just a
doing it.
volunteer conservation commission,
Yeah. And we have to do it, unfortunately.
yeah.
Do we want to talk about waiver reminders,
Oh, yeah.
seasonal
Yes,
restrictions?
Let's see if Rosemary is gonna give us her update.
I saw her
she
walking
was
around.
there.
Yeah.
who's there?
Rosemary, are you listening? Hmm. Okay, yeah, so, I've gotta give her a list of items to do, cause she's been out for like a couple weeks. So,
And it's going to be tough, because if we wait to take any sort of action until the next meeting, that is literally 17 days before
Yeah.
people are supposed to finish up, and that may be difficult for some people. So I
What's the
think
deadline?
I think we want to set some things in motion now, at least get a list of open projects.
Okay.
Yeah, November 1st is when.
Well, what I can have her do, I mean, she's done this before,
Okay.
in previous years, is do the list, show me the list, and get the letters all ready to go. And we could, what is it? She can definitely get the letters out before the end of the month.
Yeah,
And
she
then they
does-
got a whole month to prepare.
She doesn't need our approval to send the
No,
letters
no,
out. She can just
no.
send them out.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just, that's
I
it.
just want to see the
Well,
list
this is
to
us
make
giving
sure
her
we get
approval
everything
right now,
covered.
right?
Yep.
You know, we know the things that are out there. There's actually not that many big open projects. We've got Billis Way, we've got 38 Benjamin, we've got Maple, and that other one at 733 Salem.
But
which
even
is-
38 Benjamin sounds like they're done. In
Yeah,
terms
I
of
don't
their-
think they're gonna do any more work, but at least on
On
the
our part, yeah.
wetland side, you
Yep.
know.
It's also a good opportunity to see if people are gonna want certificates of compliance.
Yeah, right,
And we can just,
yeah.
the more of those we get out of the way, the fewer crazy emergencies later on.
Right, so, I think she's supposed to be keeping a list of open projects, and, certainly if there are some out there that should be filing for a certificate of compliance. So, it's always worth the follow-up. Okay.
What's item number 9 on the agenda?
No, don't go there yet.
So if you could direct it to Jan Peterson.
Oh, you already got a name? Okay.
You're good, man.
Wow.
I know people.
Is that
know people.
Peterson?
Correct.
Okay.
And that's the church administrator. They'll get it to the right person.
Administrator. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so any other things under open discussion? Trying to think. There hasn't been any movement in some of the other things I've talked about, state money for weed removal at Johnson's Pond is just ongoing. I'm not expecting to hear anything on that. And, Lower Center Street is pretty static right now. A lot of prodding still from Jim Manganiello about some work there. But, nothing really major as far as things that can be done. And, the fourth graders,
Yeah.
I don't know where that project's gonna
We're
go.
waiting to see if they're going back to school even, so.
Yeah, right. And unfortunately, Elaine Hughes retired. So now that's gonna happen.
There was a younger teacher
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, I had
seemed
dealt with a
very-
couple of them there.
Yeah, so.
So maybe
Hopefully
we'll
keep
have to
that.
just see what
Mhm.
happens, with it. I've got their email, so maybe I'll just send them an email, tell them to contact us when they think they know what they want to do. At this point, might be the spring.
Yeah.
Certainly not going to be the fall. Okay, so we'll ask Rosemary one more time. Are you there, Rosemary, for an update?
Want me to text her? Too late?
Are we expecting any groundbreaking news?
No, like I say, she's been out for the last 2 weeks, so,
Yeah, I think we've given her stuff to work on when she comes back on Monday. And
yeah, she'll be back in tomorrow.
Let her,
So,
Motion.
to get caught up.
number
Well, I've
9
got-
looks good.
I've
Number
got-
9? Number 9?
What do you think about 9?
It's one of my favorite single-digit numbers. And I would like to take this opportunity to move to adjourn.
Is there a second on that?
There
Second.
better be
I
a
will
second.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, don't, no further